everybody. Welcome to the Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Puckle this week and joined by Kevin Oklobzija. Good to be back.
Great to be back.
Good to have you here. We'll talk a little hockey in a minute, with like it or not, with the second half of the season. And speaking of which, Mr. Hockey himself.
Well, knowing what Kevin Oklobzija, knowing he was coming, his two loves of his life, it's the Rochester Red Wings Slapshot anniversary jersey that they had a couple years ago, signed by all three Hansen Carlson brothers. How about that? And pitchers and catchers report for the World Baseball Classic. We're in the heat of the hockey playoff race right now. Everything's great.
And this is the month Slapshot debuted.
Whoa.
1977, February 25th, 1977.
I think he keeps a calendar of that stuff. I really do. Somewhere along the line, he's got a calendar, and he prepares for it just for the Sunday show. All right, let's go over a bit for the NFL season. I know the Super Bowl. Your thoughts, Kevin, on everything NFL as it wrapped up this past season?
I enjoyed the season. I'm not a fan of any team, so it makes it easier to watch the games and not have to, live and die by every pass and every fumble and every whatever. Yeah, there was a bad penalty call, maybe. I think, how did they have a skating rink for the Super Bowl?
Well, when you
is that not the biggest issue that should be talked about?
When you put a 94-year-old man in charge of turf, that happens. You put a 94-year-old man in charge of anything, bad things happen.
I thought I was the only one coming in here, not so much talking about the holding that was a holding, because the guy who did the holding said it was a holding. I thought it was, I couldn't understand how the NFL, a multi-billion-dollar company, could have such bad turf in a place you knew you were going to play for the last 2 years.
And that was the biggest influence on the game. They couldn't talk about it on the network, obviously. They did a little bit, and that's probably as much as the NFL would have did allow, because they're a partner, so you can't really criticize during the biggest event of their season. But that's the biggest factor on the game. Defensive linemen were helpless.
Yes.
Every time they did show a replay, you saw a guy sliding this way, sliding. That's why they couldn't get pressure on either quarterback. I think it was a joke.
I agree with them 100%. Like, the biggest weapon for the Philadelphia Eagles, you had, for the first time in NFL history, 4 defensive linemen with double-digit sacks. They didn't get to Mahomes.
No.
They didn't get to Mahomes.
It's not because they had a bad day. It's because they had a bad field to try and get leverage on.
That being said, it was a huge benefit for Jalen Hurts, and he's the guy that I feel the worst for this week. He played what might have been the greatest game a quarterback has played in Super Bowl history, graded-wise. He was the highest-graded quarterback that PFF ever had in Super Bowl history, and he lost. He's the only one in the top 7 to lose. And here's the thing that sucks the most. It's his own fault. If he doesn't cough up that ball and it goes the other way, he's the MVP. Running away. 4 touchdowns? 4 total touchdowns for a guy who last year wasn't supposed to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? My heart breaks for that kid this morning.
And had the lead, the momentum, played football, kept the ball away from Pat Mahomes in that offense for a long time as well in the first half. But full well, and we'll cover this a little bit later on with the Buffalo Bills, with Mahomes and that team, you cannot count them out late in that game.
Yeah, but other than the fumble, it's a defensive problem, right? Like, the Eagles kept scoring, and here's the thing that impressed me the most. In the second half, the Eagles were moving the ball, scoring at will. The Chiefs tie it up. The Eagles go 3 and out. That's when normally young teams will. They didn't. They came roaring back. They drive the field, and they convert on the 2-point conversion. It was a thing of beauty if it wasn't for the Chiefs having the ball last when that game was over.
Right. And, okay, was it a penalty? Yes. Do you call it then? Probably not. But at the moment he threw the flag, he doesn't know that ball's uncatchable. So,
well, it doesn't matter if it's uncatchable or not. They called holding. Pass interference would have been an uncatchable ball.
Right, but you may not. I'm just saying you may not make the call.
Yes, I'm sorry.
If that ball's catchable, well, then it makes sense because you prevented some sort of first down, whatever. But he has to make that decision. I don't know. I guess I've always. It's like in hockey. Referee, you can't make a penalty call in the last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes, third, whatever it might be. Well, then the linesman can't call offside either.
Sure, I'm with you.
I don't know where this call ranks. It's just, so many things are ignored. Maybe that one should have been.
The ultimate irony is, let's say he doesn't hold Juju Smith-Schuster and he catches a touchdown pass. It would have given the Eagles a better chance to win that game, right? The absolute worst thing you could have done was to hold him, give them the ability to run the clock out, and kick a field goal so you get the ball with 8 seconds left. Yes, you'd be down 7 points if you're Philadelphia, but you would have had $1.50 on the clock.
And that's why they didn't score. They had a chance to put that, to run in, and he downs himself at the 1 or half.
third most watched Super Bowl. Unbelievable. The betting numbers were through the roof. We'll wait and see what happens next year. Will the Buffalo Bills be there? Is their window closed? We'll talk about that next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. It'll be okay.
Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. If you like to travel like I do, you'll love my travel books. Buy one, get one free right now. Email me, let me know what you need. MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com. I'll even sign it. MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Press Box. The Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations, celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right. RalphHonda.com. All right, the Super Bowl, we were hoping the Buffalo Bills would get there. They did not. That means we wait till next year, just like every other NFL team. Is the window closed?
How dare you ask the dumbest question I've heard all season long? What would suggest the window is closed on this Buffalo Bills team? How about I ask you that? What would suggest that the window is closed?
Only the fact that, I don't know, you're going to have to make a lot of roster moves for the brand new upcoming year with the money that you're going to pay your quarterback.
Okay, that's fine. Look. You can franchise Tremaine Edmonds. He is the piece you need to bring back. You have the draft capital in which to bring in the weapons you need on offense. And there are going to be guys that are willing to take less money to come and play on this Buffalo roster. You had a first-year offensive coordinator with expectations through the roof. And despite that, they were still top 3 in almost every offensive category. You're running almost everybody back. You're probably going to lose Poyer. You're going to lose a couple of special teams guys. But McDermott and the special teams coaching staff are great at coaching those guys up. This team's roster will be almost identical, possibly with better pieces minus Poyer. And you have the nerve.
I do.
You have the nerve,
Kevin,
to ask me if their window is closed.
The question is, outside that window, which is wide open apparently, are the Bengals and the Chiefs. Are they better than those teams now or worse?
So
those teams aren't getting worse.
Thank you.
I will say this. Everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin, obviously, football secondary, right? But the fact that the Bills hadn't seen Joe Burrow on that offense once is what killed them the most in the playoffs. Because if you look traditionally at Sean McDermott and his record against great players and coaches the second time around, he adjusts. He does really well. You've seen it with the Chiefs in the regular season the last 2 years. You're going to see it if you see Cincinnati again. It's not whether or not this team is better, because talent-wise, I think that Bills team is better. It's whether or not McDermott can hold it together with his staff to win those games, and I think he can.
Well, let's go back. I want to go back to what Kevin said about.
And just to say, but the biggest need then, and maybe they fill in the draft, is someone else at wideout to take the pressure off Diggs that can match what the Bengals can do on offense.
It's wideout, it's offensive guard. Both of those things are wildly important, but you're also not considering. You have a guy calling the plays for the first time. Gabe Davis has talent. You need to figure out a way to scheme these guys open. And don't forget, Khalil Shakir is going to be a legitimate NFL receiver. Is he your 2 or your 3? We'll find out this year.
Well, for the Buffalo Bills, we've ranked them really number 1 in the AFC. I think to go to the Super Bowl, obviously they didn't do that. But now you look at Cincinnati, are they built a little bit better? You look at Kansas City, are they built a little bit better? They didn't lose a lot of players, they didn't lose a lot of coaches going forward. Kansas City, there was questions of whether or not they would even be able to get this far, if not to the Super Bowl, to the AFC Championship game. And look what they've done with the minus players that they've had and losing Tariq Hill. So it's quite interesting to see this team still succeed.
And it's not all the player, it's not all just one guy, but I know that Joe Burrow wins, and I know that Patrick Mahomes wins.
Here we
I'm
go.
not saying Josh Allen doesn't win.
Well, I didn't hear you say I know Josh Allen wins.
But he hasn't won yet. He hasn't won.
And those are the 2 guys in the way.
We talked about Jalen Hurts a second ago and how he played a game that was unbelievable minus 1 mistake that he should have won, right? Name me a time where Josh Allen was the reason you lost a major game. He walked off the field with 13 seconds last year in that divisional playoff game with the lead. That AFC Championship game, it was a failure of defense the 2 years before. In this game against Cincinnati in the playoffs.
I repeat, I know Patrick Mahomes wins.
What has Burrow won?
Oh, a national championship, got to the Super Bowl.
Super
It wasn't
Bowl.
his fault they lost the Super Bowl.
Okay. Hey, by the way,
They rebuilt that line.
Well,
I think they're pretty good.
love how it's not Burrow's fault he loses the Super Bowl, but Allen, haven't seen him win. And by the way, you want to talk about Burrow? He's a bad transfer away from never playing a snap in the NFL. He couldn't sniff the field at Ohio State. So don't sit here and tell me I've seen him
That's
win.
the Ohio State to you.
Yeah, the Ohio State that let that kid walk away. Get out of my face, all
Oh,
of you.
yes, is the window still open? That's all I
The
ask.
answer's yes, Tariq.
Like it or not, it's coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Hey, hello again. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I have been traveling everywhere, and you can see my latest getaways right now. Just search for The Getaway Guy on Facebook. That's The Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
What do you like about the season coming up?
AFC West. AFC West, 4 words. How this division is going to play out, because Kansas City has dominated that division the last couple of years. The Raiders make a couple of moves. The Raiders are going to be pretenders until Derek Carr's gone, right? Like, I get the Devontae Adams thing. I get you played with him in college, and that's fun and exciting. But it seems the Raiders are always just like 15 cents short of that dollar that they need to get over the hump. I don't understand what Denver was doing bringing Russell Wilson in and then extending him with that contract. That being said, I said last year, I don't understand what the Rams were doing bringing in Matthew Stafford, and they won a Super Bowl ring. So it shows what I know. But the most interesting team in that division is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers, because they built it the way you traditionally build a football team.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. No appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. All right, we're looking at, like it or not, the chances for the Bruins, Boston Bruins, 450% chance they will win the Stanley Cup.
After you, Mr. Hockey.
I like the Bruins. They're deep. They're well balanced. They can score. They can do. I like that team, and it's especially grinding or biting for Sabres fans because the goalie should still be in Buffalo.
Okay.
But they didn't keep him. Now he's having a great year.
Wait a minute. We're going to start yelling at each other now. Didn't keep him. He knew he wasn't coming back. It's not the Sabres' fault.
I'm not saying it's the Sabres' fault. I'm just saying he should still be there. For whatever reason, he's not there, and he should be.
Linus Ullmark, former Sabres starting goalie, current starting goalie for the Bruins, is having a great season. And I love Linus Ullmark as a human being. Don't get me wrong. You and I both know it's the system that is making him look the way he does. He did not all of a sudden become the greatest goalie
But
in the
you
hockey.
need, I don't care what system you play, get a goalie that you can build around and have in that system. Instead of, they have no goalie right now, I don't think UPL is the answer.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
It's not, they have guys coming out of college if they sign.
First of all, UPL or go to hell. Second of all, how do you not know if you... I think UPL's performed admirably, especially with the situation they have with 3 goalies.
I don't want admirably. I want exceptional.
And those 2 guys coming out of school,
If they
prospects,
sign.
one of them is not. But they like Levi, the kid coming out of Northwestern, and he looks like he could
Why
play.
would he sign?
Why would he not sign?
Why not go to the best offer you can get in an organization that is winning,
Because
has won,
the
will win?
way that it's written money-wise, there's only one price. It doesn't matter which team he signs with. Look, the way in to be a starting goalie in Buffalo is wide open on a team that is making strides every year with a solid young core. You know this.
That is true. But why not win now? What if he can go somewhere where you can win now
Because
you know what's going on?
22-year-old kid wins now as a goalie in the NHL. When's the last time it happened?
Patrick Waugh.
Exactly.
All right, well, let me just, time out, guys, time out. Let me just throw in the fact that do either one of
one
you
since then.
at 600% or 600+ believe the Avalanche are that good at winning the Stanley Cup?
Can you just bet against him?
I guess.
Like if I bet 20 to win $1, can I do that? Because I got no shot.
I'm with him 100%. I don't understand what is going on with Colorado. I think that the West has so many surprise teams that came out this year that the ground that the Avalanche have to make up, not only to get in a favorable playoff spot, but the teams they're going to have to beat, I don't think it's possible.
What about the Hurricanes plus 800?
I like Carolina. I like Carolina a lot. I mean, I don't like them as a franchise. I like them as a hockey team.
They're an interesting team. Something always fails, but I love their coach. I just think he's the right demeanor behind the bench. I like a lot of their young players. I like some of their. I mean, I think they're a team that can surprise, but for whatever reason, they're not as bad as the Panthers in having potential and flopping immediately. No. I want to know why Tampa's not being recognized and considered higher by the odds makers, because they're the same team. Yeah, they're a little older, but I'd fear them.
Maple Leafs and Devils, your thoughts?
Maple Leafs are a joke. They're not making it out of the first round. The Devils are interesting. I mean, they were on fire earlier this season. They've tapered off. Lindy Ruff's coaching style, at least in the past, has shown that it can wear teams down along throughout the season, but it seems like he's changed a little bit for the younger guys. I would keep an eye on New Jersey.
I agree.
Oh,
as hard as that is for me to say, I agree.
Finally, a little sense.
Goodness, I was looking forward to some more back and forth between the two. Unfinished business on the way next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back to the Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business, being brought to you by Genesee Brew House, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery, and dine at the pub-style restaurant. Unfinished business, and let us start with one Mr. Pat Duffy.
We had mentioned earlier, at least I did, World Baseball Classic pitchers and catchers report for this international tournament that baseball fans are excited about. And I have one question. Has it been successful? Because I was there for the first one when it was in Toronto. I went to USA versus Canada, a surprisingly close game that had the whole place going crazy, half Americans, half Canadians. And that was a great scene. And then the rest of the games that didn't involve the US and Canada got like 3,000 people inside Rogers Center. And it's been a couple of years they've been doing it. I'll be honest with you, outside of being there in person, I don't have any vivid memory of a moment that was exceptional in the World Baseball Classic. Look, I love hockey, so I understand that there are moments that I'm going to remember from international hockey tournaments, both senior and junior, but they stand out as exciting. When it comes to international basketball, that might be the best international sport, and there are moments with NBA stars, and even before they let the NBA players go, that stand out as moments. Is there a moment you can think off the top of your head right now that screams at you from the World Baseball Classic? And if the answer is no, how long do you give this tournament before you decide maybe this isn't what people really want to see?
A sad day in Rochester sports. This week, we lost the signs of Frontier Field. Seriously, for 25 years, it said Frontier Field. We have been the most blessed city when it comes to arenas and stadium naming rights. Just the name itself. Do you know how many times the baseball stadium there has changed? Like 6 times. Coca-Cola Field, Pilot Field, North America Park, Buffalo Baseball Park. HSB Arena has been Marine Midland, HSBC, Key Bank, something else along the way. We've had the same name on the arena, the War Memorial, ever since they sold naming rights in 1998. It's been Blue Cross Arena. They re-upped. Frontier Field, all right, they're bankrupt. I guess they really could. Wouldn't be a good thing to renew that. But Innovative Field now still has a nice look, nice sound. We've been blessed. It's been great to be able to say I'm going to, and people are still going to say I'm going to Frontier Field.
So you're looking for an idol for your kids to watch, right? A player that you would think to yourself models exactly on the field is what he does on the field. Pat Mahomes jersey for bandwagoners, that's the one you're going to get to. You're going to just pretend that you were a Kansas City fan for years and couldn't wait for them to win championships, and that's fine. Or you could just basically go buy that 15 jersey, put it on your kid, and realize the guy went out there and did what he was supposed to do. Injured with a high ankle sprain, winning in a game that is the game that the entire world watched, that was the third watched Super Bowl in history. He is cemented as one of those players. We knew he was going to be a Hall of Fame type of player, but now he's got those 2 rings and 2 MVPs to match it up with a whole career left to go in the AFC. It's okay to be a bandwagoner, but don't pretend like you were a Kansas City fan from the jump. You weren't. You had no idea. You can't even find it on a map, even if you tried right now. So just enjoy what Patrick Mahomes is, because he is that one right now and a great model for your kids to follow. That's Unfinished Business being brought to you by the Genesee Brew House. Kevin, it was so much fun to see you have fun with Duffy today.
Great to be here.
As always.
Great to bring him down to earth.
And I love having Kevin on because it's one of the few times I look handsome on this show.
Oh,
And smart.
one of the few. Oh, I wish I had this much fun next week. Join us next time for the Rochester Press Box.
Who's here next week?